You're welcome back. Well, a video released by Scientology has come to light today showing the head of the organisation speaking on New Year's Eve. In it, he makes various claims about Ireland and Dublin, including the impact Scientology has had on reducing drug-related crime in Dublin. They say by 85%. It also claims that they've done interviews on Ocean FM. Well, let's take a clip.
Even into Donegal County police stations, until the Mission of Dublin placed no less than 110,000 booklets into Irish hands. But still, that's not the end of it, because with Truth About Drugs spokesmen hitting national airwaves from Ocean FM to BBC Radio, and thereby impacting no less than 270,000 listeners, all while newspaper headlines reinforce the message, well, that's how this Mission of Dublin accomplished an 85% drop in drug-related crime. While through it all, they have also now introduced more than 42,000 people to Dianetics and Scientology.
Well, Niall Delaney from Ocean FM joins me now on the phone. Niall, what do you know about this video?
Well, we found out about this quite by accident on Monday, Colette, when we were contacted by one of our listeners from County Mayo by email, who alerted us to this particular video, which, as you say, was played to the Scientology conference in Florida. And you can just imagine our surprise when a humble Irish local radio station such as Ocean FM was included in such a high-profile video. And it showed a clip of an interview, an alleged interview being carried out at the Ocean FM studios by one of our presenters with a Scientologist as part of their Truth Against Drugs campaign. Now, it was, to our surprise and indeed to our amusement, it has to be said, to discover that the Ocean FM studio in the video does not exist, nor does the Ocean FM presenter who was conducting the interview. Yet there was our station logo on the wall of the studio and the caption on the screen telling people this was all happening at Ocean FM, which it didn't.
Just to be clear, Niall, not your studio, not your presenters, but your branding in the background.
Correct on all fronts. Not our studio, not our presenter, but a clear on-screen caption that this all happened in Ocean FM.
Do you know either of the two people in the video?
I've never seen them before. We're getting tweets and emails today suggesting that this may have been recorded in a studio somewhere in the northwest, but we're not aware of anybody involved in the interview who was involved in it. We just do not know at this stage.
Niall, the Scientology organisation is saying this is a reenactment. What do you take that to mean?
Well, that's the question. Sabrina Short was on our show earlier today. She's a Scientology. She's from Donegal. She's been a Scientologist for 12 years. And her explanation was this wasn't any sort of deception. It wasn't fraud. It was merely what she called, as you say, Colette, a reenactment. Now, my understanding of the word reenactment is a recreation, a stage recreation, or a representation, an accurate representation of something which happened, something which took place. But in this case, no such interview. The studio was not our studio. The interviewer in the video is not someone who works for us or who is known to us. So how exactly can that be a reenactment?
All right, Niall, we'll try and get to the bottom of this a little bit more. Thank you very much for joining us on the line. I'm joined now by Michael Ryan, who, along with Ciara Doherty, made TV3's Ireland Secrets called, should I say. Michael, what did you find out about Scientology?
Well, Scientology, as people may or may not know, has been around for about 60 years. There was a science fiction writer called L. Ron Hubbard who invented Scientology basically back in the 50s, and it's a sort of a self-help religious movement. They have a book called Dianetics, which is supposed to, if you read through it, it's supposed to give you an insight into yourself. It's all about sort of helping yourself, getting you to fulfill your goals, all of this sort of stuff. You hand over money as well. There's always a catch. You hand over money and you do courses on behalf of them, things like that. Now, in fairness, there's about 10,000 churches of Scientology all around the world in something like 180 different countries. So lots of people believe it, and who am I to say anything about it? But I just think with stuff like the video, I mean, they really don't help themselves with stuff like about the 85% drug claim in Dublin. I mean, if that was the case...
The Gardaí say it's less than 5% actually reduction in drug-related crime.
So if it was 85%, why would we need the Gardaí at all? You know, and they've also quoted a counsellor on the video, I think, an anonymous counsellor from Dublin saying how great Scientology is, but they don't say what his name is. I mean, you know, I don't understand why you would do stuff like that.
Is it a cult? Is it dangerous?
Well, we had Mike Rinder on this very programme 2 years ago, and Mike was the international spokesman for Scientology. So he was one of their top people, and he actually left the organisation because he said that they were intimidating people, that they were bullying people, that there was a vulture culture, is what he called it there, where their main focus was just on money. These were his words, not mine. He had since left the organisation. He also said that night, if you remember, that he himself had partaken in intimidating people and bullying people, and even gone a little bit further in terms of sort of mentally intimidating people as well. So, I mean, according to him, it is dangerous, and he's a man in the know.
The video has gone viral now, Michael. People can access it on their computers. Is there any grain of truth in what they're saying in it?
Well, they do have a mission in Dublin. We know that because we were at it before, and we were joined by people who were protesting outside it because they had relatives involved in the Scientology mission in Dublin. So they do have a mission here. They have handed out stuff on the streets of Dublin before, although I remember when we were making the documentary, trying to get, funnily enough, trying to find a Scientologist to talk to us was actually quite difficult. In the video, they seem to be all over Dublin, up and down Parnell Street, O'Connell Street, any street you care to mention. So those parts are true. And they do hand out literature, but just some of the other claims, you know, in Colette, as I said, about the drugs, about, you know, if you listen, Mr. Miscavige, who's the head, he also, the name of the head of the organisation in Dublin is Ger. He doesn't even get his name right. He calls him Ger. It's G-E-R, he calls him Ger, so he couldn't even be bothered to find out how to pronounce his name. So, I mean, I don't know. The video does them no favours.
What about Tom Cruise? Our viewers will be familiar. He is probably the world's most famous Scientologist.
Yeah, people will remember that there was a Scientology video that he had actually, because he rarely sort of talks about Scientology. There are a few occasions where he's talked about it, but I don't think you can really ask him about it on sort of press junkets and things like that. But he did do a DVD for Scientology, which I don't think was ever meant to be seen, and it sort of leaked out, and he was talking about, if you remember, how if you drive past a car accident that you have to stop, because as a Scientologist, you know you're the only person who's going to be able to get out and help. Stuff like that. Just some of those claims, they just seem odd. That's putting it mildly, I'd have to say. But yeah, he's heavily involved in it, apparently.
They say they've 42,000 members here in this country.
Well, when we made the documentary and spoke to people who had worked, we spoke to one girl who'd actually worked in the Scientology offices here. We also spoke to ex-members and things like that. They said they had less than 100 members in Ireland.
Just to be clear, for the sake of our viewers, we did try and contact them today. We've left lots and lots of messages. No one will get back to us. We looked for a spokesperson. They couldn't answer our questions. All right, Michael, thanks so much for coming into us this evening. And that is it for tonight. If you'd like to get in touch with us on the show, or you have a story that you'd like to tell us, you can contact us by email on midweek@tv3.ie. You can also watch tonight's show back on the 3 Player. Vincent is here next, so stay with us. Good night.